it's everything. Being able to enjoy your house, being
Mhm.
able to sit and read a book,
Yes.
you can't even put a price on that. I think it's just you kind of underestimate the
Yeah.
effect that that has for you all, and then also for your clients too. So,
Yeah.
it's like this amazing ripple effect, I
You're
think.
listening to the Decluttering Club Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Mueller, and it's my mission to equip women to declutter their homes, their time, and their lives so that they can cherish what truly matters.
In this episode of the Decluttering Club podcast, I'm interviewing two of our brand new coaches. You're going to meet Barbara and Pat, and they're going to share why they love decluttering so much and how they work with clients. If you've ever considered working with a coach, you're going to want to check this episode out. Welcome to the Decluttering Club podcast. I am here today with two of our brand new coaches. We have Barbara Baylis and Patt Svoboda here to talk to you about decluttering and why this is so important to them. Barbara and Pat, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me, Sarah.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, we love introducing new coaches to the community because I can't say this enough. I feel like everybody needs a decluttering coach. And so now we have new coaches that are going out into the world and working with clients, and it makes me so happy for so many reasons, but we'll get to that. So before we dive in, I would love for you both to introduce yourselves. Barbara, why don't you go first? Tell everyone, where you're from, who you are, just give us a little bit of background.
Hi, I'm Barbara Baylis, and I am originally born in Brooklyn, grew up on Long Island, have lived in several states, and now I am in Texas, and my family is here. I have 3 adult children, and I have multiple grandchildren and a great-grandchild.
Oh my word.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, great-grandchild.
You
So
don't look old enough to be able to have a
yeah,
great grandchild.
I
Oh my word.
do. I do. She's 5. So yeah, lots of moving, packing, unpacking, sorting, all those kinds of things. I can remember renting dumpsters when I lived in Colorado. I can remember going to the Goodwill around the corner when I lived in Kentucky. So, I mean, it's just been my whole life trying to unpack the stuff and get organized, and then a few years later another move. So
Do
I'm
it all
settled
over
in
again.
Texas. I am retired. I am a retired nurse. Most of my career was with a geriatric population, so I enjoy working with an older population. Now I am officially in that age group myself. And also most of my career it was as in management, but also health teaching. And so I'm very in tune to adult learners and how they learn differently than children. And so that's something that's very helpful when I am coaching adult people, being able to do that. And so when I got settled in Texas here, I found Sarah on Facebook, found OLAB, and signed up and did that several times. So it's been about 3 years or so. Taken many of her classes, and has helped to organize my life. And I have completed the coaches training course with Sarah. And so I have learned her techniques and her philosophy, and have gained skills by working with clients. And now I'm doing cluttering for clients for myself.
Wonderful. Thank you. We're so glad to have you here. Yeah. And Pat, go ahead.
So I live currently in upstate New York in the mountains. I live rural, but I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. And I joined the Army at 18. So I spent 4 years overseas and got back, indirectly met my husband. We moved upstate in around 87, 90. I'm now a clinical laboratory scientist that's retired a couple of years ago. And I've got 3 kids that are all adults and 2 of them live across the country. One lives kind of local. I have a husband. I have 2 dogs and 3 cats.
Mhm.
In a very small house. Yes, I have done the dumpster thing. Yes, I have
Mhm.
hired somebody to help me sort stuff because I couldn't do it all myself. I've had a sick husband. Most recently, though, I've discovered that I have ADHD. And I discovered that by watching stuff online and going, boy, that seems to fit. So I got tested. And yes, actually, my son is the one that got tested first.
Interesting.
He said that, and then I'm like, well, yeah, maybe there is something to this. So it explains a lot of what I've done all my life. And I found some excellent strategies over my years to figure out how to deal with that. I'm also a trauma survivor.
Mhm.
And I've had a lot of work that I've done on that too.
Mhm.
My core group that I'd like to work with that I'm working with is ADHDers and
Mhm.
with trauma survivors, because I both personally understand where they're coming from.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. So decluttering with ADHD or with trauma, really, really important area to
and
help people with.
and ADHD can make it so that you can't figure out anything. So the
Absolutely.
clutter just is there, and you almost. Sarah, you have actually, by joining the Decluttering Club, I have been with other people before for decluttering for years. But when I found your site, the Decluttering Club, wow, what a difference it made. It was the way you got into my brain and allowed me to let go of things that I have not ever been able to let go of, and to organize. It has been a life changer. And that's what made me decide to be a coach.
Mm.
I knew I could
Yeah.
help people. I've been helping people in the lab. I also worked other aspects in the medical field with patients. I've been a helper all my life. This is another way I can help people.
This is a beautiful way to help. I love it. I love it. You know that I am so on board with that. That's fantastic. Barbara, tell us a little bit about who you work with specifically.
I work with adults who have accumulated a lifetime of stuff. And at some point, they've now realized, wow, I got to get rid of some of this stuff. I don't want to leave it for my children. And maybe that has been spurred because they just inherited stuff from other family members. Maybe their parents or grandparents have died, or a sibling, and now they have to take care of that stuff. And they realize, oh my goodness, I don't want my children to have to go through this. So now they're realizing that they have a problem. They have all this inherited stuff. They have collections, and they need to declutter, and they need to get rid of some of this stuff before something happens to them. And many of them have collections. They have they might have a lot of the photographs, family photos, and they've inherited. They become the keeper of all the family photos. They don't know what to do with them, or they have certain things that they like to collect, like books or dolls. Someone client with a doll collection, and those things eventually become a burden because there's too many, and they think they're worth something, and they don't want to let them go. Or they may have also, there's people in this population with a lot of sentimental things that they want to hold on to, and that's hard to let stuff go. And certainly we don't. That's not the first thing we start on. People want to start on working on those things, and that's not a good idea. So we work on other things first before we get to the real sentimental things. So those are the types of things that I work with.
Amazing. I love it. This is so important. And you all are both working with clients one-on-one, so people can come and well, not come, but well, are you working in person or is it all on Zoom? Say a little bit about that.
It is virtual. For me, it is virtual. I work virtual. I feel that the clients, they like that because then they protect their space. You're not invading their home. They don't have to show me anything. It's amazing that if they just describe to me what's going on, that we can make progress. Usually after a few minutes, though, of chatting, they will turn the camera around, they will turn their phone around
Yeah.
or their iPad, and they'll show me.
Mhm.
And that's like trust. They're trusting me, and we've kind of bonded a little bit. And but going into their home and working side by side, no, I have not done that. I'm not opposed to doing that if geographically it is possible. But I find that most of my clients are protected of their private space and their private home.
Yeah, I think that's nice because then they can control like how quickly they go, and like you said, they don't have to show you anything until they're ready, and maybe they just need to talk at some point. Yeah. How about you, Pat? You're working online?
I'm likely at this current moment, I am working strictly online, partway because I do live pretty rural. So I'm out in the middle of nowhere on top of a mountain. So it too, also people don't necessarily want me in their home touching their things and seeing things. A lot of people carry a lot of embarrassment.
For sure.
And I don't want them to ever be embarrassed because I probably beat them on all of them at one time or another.
Yeah. And I think that's just the beautiful thing, right? Like now you all can work with anyone, like honestly, anywhere, right? Like you're not limited. If that person is across the country or around the world, it doesn't matter. And so you're able to serve like so many more people just because you can show up on a Zoom call, and there's no commute. There's no gasoline to deal with. So I love that we have this option. And I know that you all are such a blessing to the people that you work with. So like just amazing. All right, I have a couple of questions for you. And I'm not sure who wants to go first, but my first question is why is decluttering so important for you personally? Like why, of all the things that you could have done, why did you decide that this would be, something that you invested in, that you dove in on, that you want to help other people with?
I'll go first. Decluttering for me is so important because as an ADHDer, I get so diverted and can't concentrate. And when there's clutter around, it's like I can't focus on anything. So being able to declutter gives me much more freedom, not only to do other things, but just to make everything like harmonious. It just doesn't, there's no scatteredness or noise. It's got, clutter has a lot of noise with it. And not necessarily in your ears, but it's got a lot of noise, and it pulls your eyes away from things. I have done like desk work where my desk is out facing things and the desk is all full of stuff, and it's almost impossible for me to work. I'm now not at that point. I've gotten the desk cleared, and it stays cleared because every time I use it, I do what I call a kitchen, not a kitchen zero, but a desk zero.
Okay.
And I put everything back at the end.
But you had to like develop that skill over time.
I had to develop that skill over time. Yes. It's not something that came immediate.
Right.
It's repetition.
And have you found that you're able to do you feel that you're more focused, or what has been the effect of like you personally working, like gaining some clutter-free area and like doing this work for yourself as someone with ADHD?
I can breathe again. When I've got clutter around me, it's hard to breathe. And I don't mean physically, it's just like everything is just all over the place. And I can't concentrate on anything. When it's clean, I can sit down and I can read a book. I can take the dogs out and not go, oh, I've got to do this, 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 and this. I can go out and have coffee with a friend. Yes, I still can get coffee, but not Starbucks or anything like that. But I can be without the clutter, without the clutter there. It just it really hampers me on being able to think, and I think that does for other people too.
For sure. Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. Yeah. How about you, Barbara? Why is decluttering so important to you? You mentioned moving. Talk a little bit about that for you.
I remember when I was a child, my room was the back of the house, but then there was an extension put on, and then my room became a pass through. That you to get to the other side of the house, you had to pass through my room. The window became another doorway, and so then I had to hide a bed, and I was expected to make my bed and keep my room pristine, neat, and orderly, and not have any mess in my room because people would be passing through. And so I hide my clutter. I've always just hide it, because I would hide it in my desk, in my dresser, and under the bed, wherever I could, in the closet, just hide it, get out of the way. So my parents wouldn't see it and they wouldn't complain.
Right. So they thought, oh, it's all good, but it was behind doors.
A lot of anxiety. And so I always would say, I can even remember saying this in grade school, I have to be organized internally and externally. And I never really knew what that meant, but I would say that. And I remember saying it, at least to myself, if not out loud, I have to be internally or externally. So I had all this internal clutter that I needed to deal with. And I think as an adult, then, it kind of became part of my life that I have to clear the clutter so I can be calm. And many of the things that Pat said, I can certainly relate to. When the clutter's around, I am not calm. I am not relaxed. And when I'm clutter-free, and I can be relaxed, I can enjoy my space, and I can enjoy my home. So that's what it means to me. And I like to help clients achieve that for themselves. That's very important.
It's priceless, right? It really is. I mean, you can say it in one sentence, but it's everything. Being able to enjoy your house, being able to sit and read a book, you can't even put a price on that. I think it's just, you kind of underestimate the effect that has for you all, and then also for your clients too. So, it's like this amazing ripple effect, I think.
Yeah.
The other thing, Sarah, is when you've got clutter, your brain is constantly, whereas when I'm in a decluttered area, I can think straight. When I've got a lot of clutter, I'm thinking, I got to do this. I got to do this. I've got a running list going in my head over and over and over again. And it prevents me from getting anything really done.
It's just this loop.
It's a loop. And the other thing is that it prevents me even let's say I'm in a book club and I'm reading my book for book club. It makes me feel bad that I'm reading my book for book club because, I should be doing this and this and this and this. So
it's this constant pull. I should be over here. I should be doing this, but then it's hard to do that because then this other thing comes up, and that that rabbit trail that comes up. So good. Do either of you have a fun story that you love to share, that really kind of hits home the benefits of working with a coach, that, something that you've observed through one of your clients? Do you have an aha moment or something fun that's come up?
What I have realized when I work with clients, it's not particularly one particular client or anything, but something that I know I'm making progress, or my client is making progress when we reach a certain point. And it's happened over and over again. I've seen it in multiple clients, that when we reach the point that the client realizes, I have a plan. I know what to do next. I can do 1, 2, 3. And they feel then confident, then they can move on to the next step. It's like an aha moment. And I've seen that in several of my clients that I've coached virtually, because then they feel like there's hope, and that it's simple enough to do the next thing and the next step. So before I end a call with them, I'll say, okay, let's summarize what we talked about. What's the first thing you're going to do? And what's the next thing and the next thing? So we try to outline, 3 to 5 things that they're going to work on, over the next days and weeks. And I've seen that that's been real helpful for my clients. And when I see that moment, I feel good. Yeah.
I love that, right? I know what to do. I have a plan. That is,
and they own
everything.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a light bulb moment coming on there. Okay. Still got to
yeah,
do the work, but I'm not scared of it anymore because you help them narrow it down.
exactly.
Maybe there's 100 things, but what are the three? What are the
Yes,
five?
yeah,
That's fantastic. Love
yeah,
that. That's good. How
yeah.
about you, Pat? Do you have
I have
a
I have a
moment like
couple of
that?
very quick ones. One was
Mm,
a woman who had moved from a larger facility into a small place, and this person had mobility issues, and came into the call very sad to me
mhm.
that just this person had to move, and the person who I spoke to at the end had herself figured out several plans to work on of things she could actually do. And she left the call smiling. The
Hmm.
other was a person who had almost gotten all the way done with what they were doing, but had missed like the final step. And because I had the training and the coaching training, I was able to see that there was one more step that that person needed to take.
Mhm.
And that changed her outlook on what was going on completely.
Oh, what
Well,
was the
those
final step? If you could share, was there
Finishing.
finishing?
She had everything done except the final finishing step. She had it like 3/4 through the finishing step.
Yeah.
And I suggested that she might want to finish
Mhm.
by doing a couple things. And she was like, wow, that should work.
Nice.
So yeah.
Wow. Love that. That's a good
So
one. That's a good one. What have you all, I'm curious, do you find that do people know how to work with a coach, or how do you start off? Because I know like this is kind of a new thing. People have, let's say they might have a tennis coach, right? Or they have a piano teacher, but to work with a decluttering coach, do they need to get prepared? Like how does it start off with you and a new client? What would someone need to do to prepare? Talk a little bit about that.
ask them to text back to me in our appointment link to text back to me what is the issue around cluttering. Just give me a sentence or two. And so, then that gives me a little clue. Oh, I got all these photos. So I know I need to do a little homework, about my photos, about, teaching them about photos. Or they'll tell me it's my kitchen, or it's my closet. So just so that I could just be a few words, one sentence, and then I can be more prepared, to talk about that topic. So that's all I ask them to prepare for. And when we start talking, and I feel that as long as I just open the door and say, tell me what's going on, tell me about this clutter, it just is like a floodgate, and then that just opens up, and they're able to tell me, what is going on, and with very little questions or I don't have to probe. I mean, it just is there. It comes out, and then I will then ask them. I'm really big about asking them to tell me what they want it to look like, what their goal is. How do they visualize their home or their space looking? I think it's really important. That's one of the strategies I use with them, to visualize their space, because of what it's going to look like and what it's going to feel like when they're done decluttering. Because if they can imagine it and they can see it, then they can create it. And they don't need to come to me with a lot of preparation. It's just tell me.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so simple. One sentence. Love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So good. How about you, Pat? Like, have you
I'm
noticed are people a little bit reluctant or nervous?
they're nervous a little bit, and they're a lot of times unfocused, because if you've got a lot of clutter, you're all over the place. I need to do this and I need to do that. And sometimes they'll come in looking at 7 or 8 different areas. And one of the things I try to do is help them zoom in on an area. When I first talk to them, I want to see if I'm a good fit. Make sure that we're on the same page and that I can be a person that would be able to help them. So I do things very similar to Barbara in terms of questions and stuff. But I help them try to zoom in and figure out where they want to work. And then we can work on solutions for that.
Nice.
My job is to teach them how to think this themselves.
Yes. Oh, so
Give
good.
them a skill set.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. I love that. Okay. Final parting words. If someone is thinking, should I spend some time? Maybe they think it's too late for them or anything. What, 2 sentences. What's your advice to someone who's considering, like, maybe taking the time to work with a coach, or maybe just wanting to consider decluttering at all? What would you say?
Yeah, I would advise them that working with a coach, they're going to learn strategies and techniques that will take them years to learn on their own. And that because we have been trained by you, Sarah, and your curriculum, that we can teach them methods and strategies. We can teach them, how to use the 3-box method. We can teach them how to use a timer and why that's beneficial. We can teach them about decluttering before you organize. People want to be organized, but no, first we got to look at what you got in that space. And so there's just a lot of strategies and techniques that a coach can teach them. We don't come in and do it for you. My job is not to do your decluttering, but to guide you and to teach you and give you strategies and techniques and help you through it. And we can do that real well.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right, Pat, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Yes, I think hiring a coach is, you'll accomplish far quicker if you get somebody to help you. And as Barbara said, you've trained us very well. Your coaching classes were phenomenal. And I learned more about different strategies than I had ever had before. And I've been following several people for many, many, many years. I mean, we're talking the 2000s. So, or before. So it's the same thing. It's just, you'll travel far faster and get more accomplished with somebody at your side. And that's actually with an ADHDer, that's actually one of the things. We like to have somebody kind of by our side while we're working.
Huge help. Yeah. I mean, you might be able to figure this out on your own, maybe, but there's gonna be a whole lot of suffering, I think, and I mean, I always think if you could have done it on your own, right? Like, and we're talking about clients right now, if they could have done it, then they would have done it by now. So why not get some help on board and reach your goals and get the things that you want so that you can have that peace and that freedom. Beautiful. So good. Thank you, ladies. It's a pleasure working with you. I really have enjoyed getting to know you and also our other coaches. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for this work that you do. This is not just like a job. This is way more than that, and I know that it's important to both of you. So thanks for coming on the podcast and sharing with us today.
Thank you so much for having us, Sarah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will include the links. You all have websites. We will include the links to the websites with the podcast so you all can reach out, talk to Barbara, talk to Pat, see if they might be a good fit for you. I know that you will love them. Thank you for being here. We'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this podcast, would you leave us a review? It would really help us get the word out. To start your decluttering journey, go to thedeclutteringclub.com. That is declutteringclub.com. We'll see you next time.